So day 21 was by and large a successful day for Johnny Depp in the first stage of his rebuttal trial. But there was definitely a misstep, and for those of you who have been following this trial for a long time, you already know what I'm going to say. The Jennifer Howell deposition was strange and abrupt. And unfortunately, it appears to me to be a basic failure of trial preparation. So I'm going to just briefly recap who Jennifer Howell is, why she was significant for those folks who haven't been following this case since the UK trial. And then I'm also going to show you from a legal standpoint what it is that went wrong and why did we not hear what we were expecting to hear in Jennifer Howell's deposition. This is just my theory based on what did come in at trial. And as you'll see, the research that was brought to my attention by some other folks and that I also took a look at myself and confirmed. Now, day 21 is still overall a success in my perspective. We had some great moments with Morgan Knight. I thought was fantastic. What a great little bit of drama, the surprise rebuttal witness that she wasn't expecting. That was a lot of fun. I thought that the gentleman who testified about the Q scores, Doug Bania, hadn't necessarily been so strong on his first outing, but I frankly loved his cross-examination. He did some great things where he was able to turn Amber Heard's witness and essentially use her own testimony against Amber's side, which is one of my personal favorite trial strategies, is to be able to flip the other side's expert. So he was able to do that, and that was a lot of fun. But the Jennifer Howell is by far a standout because for us long-term Depp trial watchers, this one was really anticlimactic. So the background for Jennifer Howell's testimony first is Whitney Enriquez's testimony. So let's start there. Whitney testified on day 18 of the Depp trial. And as it concerns Jennifer Howell, the incident at issue is the staircase incident from May 23rd, 2015. So this is the only incident of alleged domestic violence perpetrated by Johnny Depp against Amber Heard that has been witnessed by other individuals. And by other individuals, I mean specifically Whitney Heard corroborates Amber Heard's version of events for all intents and purposes. But Johnny Depp has witnesses as well. His security guard Travis, who was present at the time and denies that Johnny Depp struck Amber Heard at any point, but does agree that Amber Heard struck Johnny Depp. And then Johnny's sobriety nurse, Debbie Lloyd, who was also present. Amber and Whitney claimed that Johnny threw a can of Red Bull that struck her in the back. She denies seeing any Red Bull being thrown or being hit in the back with a Red Bull, but she also does not acknowledge being present for any type of physical violence. And as we've heard throughout the course of the trial now, there's an indication that Amber Heard had filed a complaint against Nurse Debbie's license based on failure to comply with the mandatory reporting rules for domestic violence, which is quite an irony indeed. So the May 23rd incident is really largely significant at this point because it's the only one that has a witness. It isn't just corroborated by what Amber told people and Amber's generated evidence of photographs that don't tend to show severe injuries and things of that nature. So the staircase incident, according to Whitney Enriquez, it took place on March 23rd of 2015. She was at that point living next door to Johnny and Amber. She was in penthouse 4. Johnny and Amber were in penthouse 5. She says that there was a fight that broke out between Johnny and Amber that evening over texts that Amber had found on Johnny's phone with another woman. And Incidentally, this woman, Rochelle, who is mentioned on the Psycho Killer Qu'est-ce que c'est audio when Amber's being horrifying, she refers to Rochelle at several points in that audio. So according to Whitney, Amber is standing on the mezzanine level, and Johnny attempts to throw a Red Bull can at her that hits Nurse Debbie, according to her. And then he runs up the stairs. Whitney is standing in between Johnny and Amber. She is facing Amber. Johnny hits her in the back. At that point, Amber yells, "Don't hit my fucking sister," and throws a punch that lands on him. Whitney says that Travis runs up to try to separate them, but before he's able to do so, Johnny grabs Amber by the hair and whacks her in the face several times. So we heard from Dr. Colbert today that Johnny had a partial cast on his hand at that point in time. He had just had a pin put in his finger. So his fingers were basically splinted and in a partial cast. Certainly calls into question the ability to grab and punch without causing severe injury to himself and to Amber. But in any event, she claims to have essentially witnessed an act of fairly severe physical violence by Johnny Depp towards Amber Heard. So Jennifer Howell testified by witness declaration in the United Kingdom after the primary trial had already taken place. And so what happened is that Whitney testified to this version of events. Jennifer Howell learned about it, and as Whitney Heard acknowledges, not long after this incident, she and Amber had a falling out, and they were basically not in contact for most of the rest of 2015. So Jennifer Howell told us today that Whitney lived with her between May of 2015 and April of 2016. So during this time frame, according to Jennifer Howell, Whitney told her quite a lot of things about Amber Heard's relationship with Johnny Depp, about her own relationship with Amber. So Jennifer Howell signed a declaration that was obtained by Adam Waldman, Johnny Depp's former attorney, for use in the UK process and in the Virginia proceeding. So her testimony is in essence that when Whitney arrived, she was a mess. She told me she tried to stop her sister Amber from hitting and attacking Johnny on the stairs. Whitney said when she tried to intervene to stop Amber from going after Johnny, Amber nearly pushed Whitney down the stairs. She told me she was worried Amber was going to kill Johnny. She told me she had endured that kind of abuse her entire life, first from her father and then from Amber, who she said was extremely violent. She lived with me because she did not feel she could go back to live at the Eastern Columbia building. My father reminded me this morning that I told him Whitney had moved in with me because she was terrified of her sister. While Whitney was living with me, she told me Johnny kept checking in to see how she was doing and that he called her sis and she called him brother. Whitney said to me on multiple occasions that she did not know why he was staying in the relationship, nor why he was putting up with Amber's abuse. Whitney shared with me the damage endured by both her and Amber as children, and the injuries she had suffered from Amber both psychologically and physically. Whitney was devastated during this time, and my heart broke for her. So this is the primary issue that Jennifer Howell was anticipated to testify about. She also was a witness to a statement Whitney made at some point that she doesn't date very well, but it was while Johnny and Amber were in Australia, and she says that Whitney is on the phone and proclaims, "Oh my God, she has done it now. She has cut off his fucking finger." So Whitney's statements to Jennifer Howell about the staircase incident are potentially admissible as prior inconsistent statements. The presumption is that because she's talking about things that Whitney said, and Whitney is not saying them right now in the courtroom, they are presumptively hearsay. And so they are generally going to be excluded from evidence. But a prior inconsistent statement of a witness is an exception to the hearsay rule. It's offered for purposes of impeaching the witness, essentially to show that they have told inconsistent stories over time. And so it's less to establish the truth of the alternative story that they've given, as much as just to establish that this witness lacks basic reliability. You can't put a lot of credit on their testimony because they have a history of providing inconsistent accounts. But you don't get to just bring them in. There's a specific rule that applies to these in the state of Virginia and a process that you have to go through in order to be able to use them. And so in Virginia, this is Superior Court Rule 2:613. And it basically just lays out what the process is. It's a rule that applies to prior statements of a witness. It talks about how to examine a witness concerning a prior oral statement, which is what this is. Whitney told Jennifer Howell these things on previous occasions. And so it says, in examining a witness in any civil or criminal case concerning a prior oral statement, the circumstances of the supposed statement sufficient to designate the particular occasion must be mentioned to the witness, and the witness must be asked whether the statement was made. So that's the first part, just in terms of how do you get to examine them about the prior statements that they have made. And so you need to let them know approximately when you're talking about, put them on notice of what supposed statements that they've made that you want to talk to them about. And it specifies the witness must be asked whether the statement was made. So that didn't happen in this case. Whitney was asked during her cross-examination about Jennifer Howell. Did you know her? Did you confide in her? But that is not asking her whether she made the statements to Jennifer Howell that Jennifer Howell reported. So that basic foundational requirement apparently looks like it got overlooked during Whitney's cross-examination. So then the second part of this rule talks about introducing extrinsic evidence of a prior inconsistent statement. And so this is important because this is beyond just how do you impeach this witness by asking them about it. This is how do you prove the inconsistent statement that they made before. So this is a very important step in order to be able to bring in Jennifer Howell's testimony about the statements, which is extrinsic evidence. So this rule says extrinsic evidence of a prior inconsistent oral statement by a witness is not admissible unless the witness is first given an opportunity to explain or deny the statement, and the opposing party is given an opportunity to interrogate the witness thereon. And it says specifically, extrinsic evidence of a witness's prior inconsistent statement is not admissible unless the witness denies or does not remember the prior inconsistent statement. So this is just really underlining how every single one of these statements that Jennifer Howell put in a witness declaration and provided to Johnny Depp's team needed to be brought up to Whitney if those were going to be specifically admissible at trial. During the cross-examination, the attorney needed to ask Whitney Enriquez, did you tell Jennifer Howell that she tried to stop Amber from hitting and attacking Johnny on the stairs? Did you tell Jennifer Howell that Amber nearly pushed you down the stairs? Did you tell Jennifer Howell that she was worried, that you were worried Amber was going to kill Johnny? Did you tell Jennifer Howell that you had suffered all this abuse at Amber's hands? And so she has the opportunity to either say yes or no, I did say those things, I didn't say those things. If she denies saying the things, then under the rule, the extrinsic evidence is admissible. Jennifer Howell can testify to what Whitney Enriquez told her. Alternatively, Whitney could explain. She could admit that she made the statements, but say, oh, maybe they were misconstrued or they were taken out of context, something along those lines. The statements wouldn't necessarily be admissible if she admitted them, because there would be no need to impeach her. Or she could just say, I don't remember ever telling Jennifer Howell anything like that. And so then in that situation, under the rule, Jennifer Howell can say, yes, she absolutely did tell me these things. So this is a foundational issue. We've heard a lot of foundation objections being raised during the course of this trial. This is the kind of thing that is often referring to. Evidence rules are very complex. They depend a lot on the context. They depend exactly on what is being offered and the reason why it is being offered. And often, as in this case with prior inconsistent statements, there are foundational requirements that have to be met in order to get that in. And so the rule plainly lays those out in this case. You have to confront the witness with those specific statements, identify the circumstance, and give them an opportunity to admit, deny, or explain. So this was really disappointing because this is the type of trial error that basically shouldn't happen. I really don't want to Monday morning quarterback Johnny Depp's legal team. This is a complex trial. There is a lot that they're having to take care of. But I just have to say, this is such a fundamental requirement. If you are going to go into a trial, you must know how to get your evidence in. If you can't get the evidence in, it does you no good. You end up finishing half an hour early and having to simply burn that time, because the important portions of the deposition that you obtained from your impeachment witness are not able to be played. So that, in a nutshell, is what happened with Jennifer Howell in my belief, in my opinion. I'm just very disappointed. This is a piece of information that it just needed to get in. Jennifer Howell signed this in July of 2020, so this has been in their arsenal for nearly 2 years. Had a lot of opportunity to be able to work with this and plan for this. If you've been following this case for a while, you know the kind of pressure that Jennifer Howell was put under after she publicly came out as a witness against Amber and Whitney. She has testified that her social media has been attacked, that she's been the subject of harassment and death threats, a lot of these bullying types of tactics to try to shut her down. And so for me, I think the big takeaway is just that my heart really breaks for Jennifer Howell, because they had, in my opinion, not a legal duty to her, but certainly a moral duty to her, knowing what it cost her to go through doing the right thing, coming forward to simply say what she knew, because she knew that what was being testified to in court was not correct, was a lie. And so the fact that came to nothing is a really, really tragic part of this trial story. So thank you for watching. I hope this has helped fill you in, if you have not been a long-term viewer of this trial, on one of the pieces of lore that perhaps was not all that understandable to you today when that deposition was played and was clearly anticlimactic. So that's what we missed out on. That's why. Very unfortunate. But tomorrow's another day. I'm so looking forward to Kate Moss, even though I know she doesn't have, in all likelihood, anything really that relevant to say. But just the star power, the draw, the fact that Johnny Depp does have these long-term relationships and connections that are just so absent in Amber Heard's life, whose witnesses don't speak to her anymore, don't want to be a part of the trial process. Melanie Iglesias specifically told Amber doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Just really does speak a lot to which personality in this trial is the toxic one. So thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow on day 22.